No intro music?
No, no intro music. I think we are on though. I'm pretty sure that the live. Yeah, there we go. So,
Hey.
how you doing, everybody? As you can see, we are Tony-less tonight, but that's okay. We've done this before, and we've got our conservative angle, we've got our independent angle, and of course, we've got our liberal angle. So, we should have all the bases covered tonight. I'm going to go ahead and just let people introduce themselves, left to right on my screen. Um, First, we have Chris. How you doing, Chris? Where are you? Where are you from? What's your username? How many pets do you have? That kind of stuff. Hit me.
All right. Hi, I'm Chris. Ice Chris 12 from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Not much else.
No pets? You don't have any pets?
Oh yeah. I didn't hear that. We've got 5 dogs now and a bird. Yeah, 5 dogs. My dad's a dog.
5 dogs. All right, that's cool.
You may hear my bird in the background.
That's okay. My dog likes to think she can talk, so you're probably going to hear some sort of snarfing out of her. Actually, we'll throw in how many guns you have in the household. We'll throw
guns
that
in the household.
Yeah.
Just one, actually.
Just one. One's better than none, most would say. All right. Next on my screen is Zod. Of course, you've been here before. How you doing, Mike?
Hi, I'm fine. Zod, still here, still in Washington, still happy. No pets, like beagles. Though.
No pets?
No, haven't had one since our beagle died a long time ago.
Oh, that's a shame. I wouldn't have been surprised if you had something exotic though, like I don't know, like a ferret or something like that.
Well, we do have deer that show up in the backyard that are almost tame. I can usually talk to them and get fairly close.
Interesting, dude. Like. You talk to them. You just said that, right?
Yeah, just calm down, relax, take it easy. We actually had a mom that used to come by, and she'd let me babysit her baby. She'd drop her fawn off here like she knew it was a safe place to be. And so we had this little thing about the size of a medium-sized dog with spots all over it that would sit out in the front yard while she was out doing deer stuff.
On that note, I'm gonna assume the answer to my next question, but we'll go with how many guns in your household?
More than one.
More than one. I bet the deers don't know that.
I wouldn't shoot one of those baby deers.
No. When you talk to them, you obviously don't tell them about the guns, though.
No, it's been a long time since I went hunting. A long time. And the last time I went hunting, it was birds. And I'd still go after birds, I guess, if I don't know. It's easier. It's less hassle to go fishing, so I'd rather go fishing.
So the guns in your household, you would consider that you have mainly for hunting?
Mainly for target shooting.
Oh, okay. There we go.
I mean, I have a shotgun for shooting at birds, but
right.
And it looks pretty angry. It's old. It was the first one from back when I got it when I was 14, but it's been modified since then, and it's got a poly choke on it, which you hardly ever see. It looks like a muzzle brake almost. It looks pretty.
Nice.
Nobody likes to see it at the skeet range because it seems quiet to me, but it's unbelievably loud to everybody else with that ventilated end on it.
Right on. All right. Well, next on my screen we have Yosemite Sam. I'm sorry. We have Compete.
Oh, okay. My name's on screen is Compete, otherwise Pete or Peter. And I'm in Nevada, Las Vegas, and I have a big dog, 126-pound Rottweiler.
That's a lot of dog.
That's a lot of dog, and I have more than one gun also.
More than I love the more than one aspect.
Such vague answers.
Right. I'm surprised he didn't look to the left and look to the right and then answer. Like, I have.
And they're placed in different places throughout the house.
That's smart.
It's not a video catalog show, is the thing.
Yeah.
See, I also... Go ahead.
I was going to say I only keep two types of rounds, 45s and 12 gauges in the house.
Oh, right on.
As far as ammunition.
I have a similar situation. I'll explain that in a minute. Well, thanks for joining us, Pete. Next on my screen, we have Jive. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm Jive Young King on the app, and there's 4 animals. We have 3 dogs and a cat, and there's lizards that show up randomly, not really pets, but they count. And yeah. And I just have these 2 guns, but that's about it. Fully loaded at all times. Short range, but packs a punch.
Those are the Emily guns. As I don't know if you saw that earlier, but Emily's rocking the same thing.
Yeah, I got the same model as her. It's crazy.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, man, thanks for stopping by, especially on short notice. Thanks for sitting in for Tony. And next we have on my screen it just says Sand. So I'll let you introduce yourself.
My name is Tea Partier from the app. I've got 4 pets. We've got 2 dogs, a cat, and a rat. The specific breed of rat is Chihuahua. And the number of guns in the house, I'll just say north of 10, so you better stay away.
North of 10. Interesting. Of those 10, of those north of 10, we'll say, obviously I don't want a number because you don't even want to give me a number, but what's the percentage of loaded ones of the 10 that you have? Ish.
We'll just say probably right about now 60% of them are loaded.
Wow. All right. That's a bunch of loaded rounds. All right. I am Rob. I'm also Rob on the app. I had 2 dogs. I'm down to 1. I sent another one to live with my parents because he's getting old and he needs some companionship, and I'm not home enough anymore. So he's up there with I pretty much put him in the old folks' home, ironically. I'm down to the Cocker Spaniel, who's a pain in the ass, and I also have 2 guns. I don't have a problem with the full number. I have 2. I also only carried. Also need 2 rounds. I have a Rossi 45 cowboy action rifle, and I also have a Judge, which takes 2 different kinds of rounds. It takes a 45, the same thing, 45 long Colt, and it also takes a 410 shotgun shell, so I can go like every other round in shotgun shell 45. So I only need to buy 2 kinds of rounds, and I'll scatter the rounds throughout the house. I don't have them all in one shot. I have the Judge itself is what I keep loaded. That's pretty much the self-defense. I'm sorry you came into my house, and this is going to be a bad day for you kind of thing. And then I don't keep the rifle loaded, but that also takes the 45s. And yeah, that's about it as far as that goes. I'll jump right into it here. I have a couple of polls ready to talk about, and we'll go with as far as the on-air poll that I did today about how many guns people have in their home as well. Out of 202 votes, is there a gun in your home? About 60% said no. And let's see, for the most part, I think this was very partisan. Yeah, only 15% of Democrats have guns in their homes, 71% of Republicans, 36% Independents, and Libertarians. I figured that would be a higher number, to be honest, but we're about 50-50 with the Libertarians. Does this surprise anybody? Did anybody think that there would be more or less guns?
It surprises me. The Democrat number surprises me.
The low number?
Yeah, my state is basically a Democrat. Well, the western half of it is controlled by the Democrats, and the state overall, because that's where the population is Democratic. But it was just a recent news item, I think, that we're up to really close to 450,000 concealed carriers in the state of roughly 7 million people. I mean, when you eliminate people that are under 21, you're up to pretty close to 1 in 10 are concealed carry, never mind that everybody I ever met at least has hunted at some point in their life.
Go ahead.
I was a little bit shocked about the Republican number. That's kind of low. The Democrats are about where I'd expect it, but what did you say, 71% there for the Republicans? That's kind of low.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I thought that would be a higher number, but then at the same time, I thought the good old Libertarians would, give me a good 90%-ish, and I'm a little surprised with that. I'm kind of curious how many of the 200. So there's only 30 Libertarians that are on this poll right now, but 76 Independents. So out of that's pretty much the biggest number of votes, and out of 76 Independents. Not even 40% of them have a gun in their home. Now, if you did look through some of the comments, there are some people that I'm not quite sure if they're just liberal or they're independent, but there were a lot of people with multiple guns. Early Bird said something about something around 30 or something like that. Like I was kind of surprised. I wasn't surprised she had guns in her home, but I was surprised she had to the to the tune of 30. That kind of caught me off guard.
That doesn't seem like an unreasonable number to me.
No.
I mean, maybe if you're like 19 or 20 and haven't had a time to put a group together, but by the time you're 50 something or 40 something,
I was really wondering how you were going to go with that.
Well, I didn't mean her age. I was more thinking people my age, but
right.
You kind of tend to pick things up along the way, and to me that wouldn't surprise me. That doesn't seem like an unreasonable number. I can think of an individual use for almost that many, one of each kind of thing.
All right, so now I'm going to go on to my next question here, and we'll get a little bit of feedback from everybody. Pretty much this question was, would you prefer that if someone who wanted to carry a gun did so openly, or would you be, I guess I really didn't word this question properly, but the point got across. Would you prefer that they carried openly, or would you prefer that it was a must conceal? As compared to leaving it open. More than 50%, this was pretty close to 50-50, more than 50% said that they'd prefer it was a must conceal, 50% hanging out. This was also pretty partisan, but I was surprised that, the Republican and even Libertarian vote was as high on the conceal only as it is. I'll go down the line here. Chris, what would you say? Like if you were right now were to vote for a law that said if you want to carry a gun, you have to have a carry conceal, and you have to carry it concealed. Yay or nay?
Well, I think personally, I wouldn't mind if someone was walking around, say, just having their little pistol hanging out. I think that would be perfectly fine. But I can understand where people would come from when they'd say they want it concealed. However, personally, for me, I think that if you want to have your gun out, say, I have it here, look at it, it's cool, or don't mess with me, whatever you want to say with that, I think that's perfectly appropriate.
Okay. Pete, what do you think?
Were you asking me? Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, that's all right.
I was distracted.
Somebody stole your hat. That's what happened.
Here's my feelings on that. Nevada is open carry, okay, and so you once in a while you do see people. I was at a Home Depot down the street here and saw a young man carrying a weapon on his hip, and it wasn't concealed. Like I said in my comment, though, on that particular poll, I would not choose to open carry, even though it is an open carry state, because I do carry all the time. Okay, and if I open carried, it would preclude me from going into most businesses around here. I mean, even to the gym, to the casinos, to anywhere. If it's concealed, nobody knows. I'm not hurting anybody's feelings, So I agree with open carry. I think it's whatever the person wants to do, but I would never choose to open carry. That's the end of my statement.
Rob,
are we still here?
Wrestling dogs right now.
Oh, is that his dogs? Probably, yeah.
I don't know. I hear barking, so I'm not sure.
Ooh.
Well, he's probably going to get to me next anyway. Let me look. Yeah, I'll just get to me then. Since Pete's done.
So, Michael, how do you feel about that?
There you go.
Washington, hey, I hear Rob again. Washington's an open carry state, and I agree with that and support it. And there are a couple things about open carry compared to concealed carry that I think you have to keep in mind. One is to get a concealed carry permit in Washington, you have to be 21. You don't have to be 21 to open carry. And so you may not even be eligible to carry concealed, for one thing. The other thing is you can't really conceal a long gun. I mean, if you're carrying your shotgun because you're going out hunting later today, or you're carrying a rifle because you're going out hunting later today, and you're responsible enough not to leave the thing out in the back window of your truck, it's going to wind up in the coffee shop with you while you make a stop on the way to where you're going to hunt. I don't see a problem with that. I think carrying it as almost a means of intimidation or a way of saying, hey, look, I'm armed, kind of thing. I think that sends the wrong message. That kind of works against us, those of us who are kind of pro firearm ownership. And so I would kind of discourage that. Usually if I see it, and it's not somebody clearly going out hunting, it almost always seems like somebody making a statement. Doesn't bother me. And especially if it's carried appropriately, like a long gun carried over a shoulder on a sling with the magazine removed, that never bothers me. That's somebody acting responsibly.
I mean, right there is pretty much my main problem with it, but I mean, we'll get to me in a second. Sam, what do you think about this?
I think it's safe to say, like, let me just like give a little, I don't know, warning or whatever. I think it's safe to say that out of everybody here, I'm probably been exposed to like guns and the culture the least. So like, I would vote if you wanted open carry, sure, go ahead. But like sometimes like the douchebags that want to carry an assault rifle into like a Chipotle or a Target or something like that, you kind of make me uncomfortable. Like if I'm out and I see somebody with a gun, like just openly carrying it, I'm gonna feel a bit uncomfortable just because I haven't been exposed to that. But if you want to, yeah, sure, go for it.
Handgun on the hip, or are you talking about long guns?
Specifically long guns. If it was just a like a little pistol on your side or whatever, I wouldn't feel as uncomfortable. But if you're walking around with like an assault rifle, like just get away from me, you know.
To me, carrying a handgun on your hip, exposed carry of a handgun in a holster, say on your hip, that to me is just too risky to make sense. Because if you aren't also a permit holder, it's just too easy for your jacket to flip over the thing or your shirt to come untucked and cover it up, and you're in violation like instantly, and that's a fairly serious offense. So I would not recommend that personally at all, unless it's just too big it can't get hidden. If you're carrying Rob's Judge on your thigh or something. But
that's pretty difficult for the record too to carry that thing. I've brought it with me a few times because I go target shooting, obviously, and I have a friend of mine that we go target shooting like in his. I mean, technically it's his backyard, but it's an open field with a lot of room, and it's really not a gun that you would carry. It's really not. Like you can have it with you, and I have a holster for it, and I have the belt thing and everything, and it's too big. It's not something you can really tuck away. It's supposed to be seen. It's not supposed to be hidden. It's it visually sends a message other than the fact that it's almost literally a hand cannon.
Yeah, the Judge is more for home defense, where you keep it next to your bed or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody here. I mean, Sam's the closest one to me, so if you break in, you know where it is. I have a little secret compartment in my headboard, and that's where it stays. And it's pretty much been there for besides the fact that I took it out to do some target shooting, it's been there for since I've had it, and it stays loaded. And I mean, that's the one that like I said, come in my house and you're going to be upset about it. But I guess I pretty much know the answer to this. But Tea Party here. So there's a vote, and you have to vote to either conceal only or allow open carry. Which way do you go?
Obviously, I'm standing for the open carry. It's the whole reason I kind of asked to. It's the whole reason I asked to be on here today. Obviously, here in Arizona, I don't know how many people actually know this, but at the age of 18, you can open carry your gun on your hip, obviously, all that jazz, without a permit. I can conceal carry if I do go ahead and get the permit. I haven't paid for the classes yet, obviously. But I don't carry my gun right now all the time. I mean, I've never seen an 18-year-old carrying his gun openly. I don't have a holster for it. But just for the whole case of open carrying, I was in a subway the other day. An old man, elderly guy, comes walking in. He's got this nice size banger hanging off his side. And so, honestly, the first thing I thought was, this man right here looks like he could get beat up, no problem. He's defenseless. So he's showing people that he has a way of stopping anyone who wants to hurt him. I personally am not a very big guy. So I feel like open carry would be the first line of defense, just the visual effect of someone not wanting to come and knock me out. I think open carry should be allowed all over the place. Obviously, I prefer concealed carry, but open carry is just a visual defense itself, and I get the argument against it. I have got some really good conservative friends who just get freaked out at the sight of a gun, and so they prefer those guns to be hidden, but, you know, I still don't think you should be forced to conceal.
Okay, so now I'm going to throw in my 2 cents here with this. My problem in this day and age with the open carry is that I feel like it's more now than ever, and I'm sure somebody like Rebel is going to have some sort of facts to say I'm wrong. But, you know, we see a lot of, I mean, there was a shooting today. You know, there was a shooting in the Walmart, whatever, a couple days ago. There seems to be a lot more people that are out to do damage right now. You know, the Virgin in California, there's all kinds of shit. And I feel that the more these people open carry, these people that walk into a Walmart, these people that walk into a Target and a movie theater, and they just want to just hang out with their guns, you're going to desensitize the people around you to seeing someone with a gun and being at least, I don't know, nervous isn't the right word, but, you know, ready?
Apprehensive.
I mean, you're going to see somebody and your thought process immediately is going to be, is this person trouble, or is this person just someone exercising their Second Amendment right to be able to carry a gun? And in today's day and age, besides these guys that are walking around into Targets and Chili's, if you see somebody walking around with a gun, you should be kind of scared. You should be kind of at least worrisome about what's about to happen. And the more that I think that we let these people just walk around with guns because they can, you're desensitizing the public to think that, you know, oh, well, this person's got a gun and they're obviously just exercising their Second Amendment right to do so, when instead they really should be more nervous than they are. They should be, you know, worried that something's about to happen. And this kind of just brings me to one of the other polls I wanted to take a look at. This was Squid Boy asked, he actually posted, the gun rights group Open Carry Texas has asked its members to immediately cease bringing rifles and shotguns into private establishments. I mean, the poll was saying, is that a good move or not? I mean, 76% said that that's a good move. If we go down to the party, obviously 95% of Democrats said it was a good move. A little more than half the Republicans, 86% of independents, and even 60% of libertarians said that it was a good move to stop doing that. And that kind of goes to my point of, if you've even got a group that's called Open Carry Texas, I mean, you don't get much more cowboy than Open Carry Texas. And even they're saying, hey guys, knock this shit off. Because, I mean, I'm sure they're saying it because they don't want to bring any kind of repercussions and have there be some sort of new law. They're trying to avoid a new law about that. I'm sure that's what they're doing. But, I mean, that's how I feel about this. We'll go down this real quick. Chris, I mean, do you think this was a good move for a group like Open Carry Texas to tell its members to stop open carrying in private establishments?
Well, personally, I agree. I think that there really shouldn't be that need there, that people feel the need there to say, I want to bring my gun with me. I think that really, honestly, there should be better feelings between people to trust. I know that it's not something that can really be accomplished overnight or something like that, but there shouldn't be that fear there that you say, I need to bring this with me, or any reason inside someone's head to think, I should bring my gun to Walmart, because there isn't really a need there for that. I'm not afraid to get shot in my Walmart or have a need to have to protect myself. And really, that's the only reason besides hunting. And you're not going to go hunting in Walmart. So really, I think that there needs to be work towards a time when we don't have to fear and feel the necessity to bring a gun with us. I think that, yeah.
Sub question to the poll. There's a law being passed, or there's a law on the table voting that you cannot bring you cannot open carry guns in private establishments. Do you vote for that law?
I don't think I would vote for that law because I feel it's restrictive, and I think that really you should be allowed to, but I feel like you should be allowed to if, say, I live down the street from, like, 7 miles down the street from what is considered the most violent city in America, Camden, New Jersey. And
Represent.
yeah. So, there I can understand why you'd bring your gun. Every night there we hear gunshots, and we understand why that's there. So I wouldn't restrict it, but like I said earlier, I think we need to get to a point where we shouldn't have to fear for that.
All right, Mike, I'm going to kind of sub-question the sub-question. Let's say that the private establishments across America start saying that it's against their rules to bring an open carry weapon into the store. Is that impeding on your Second Amendment right?
No, not at all. And that actually is why I think Open Carry Texas was probably bringing it up. You get a bunch of people going out open carrying because they can, trying to make a point, and all it does is if say at a Starbucks or wherever people go, I don't know what Starbucks' policy is, but if you have restaurant owners, for example, that's making their business go down, that's making their regular clientele a little uncomfortable, they're going to say, hey, not here. They put a sign on the door, and now you can't take it in there. You don't need a law, and I wouldn't support a law that said you couldn't in anywhere, really, at least not places you already can. But I would leave it, and it is up to the owner of the establishment. If McDonald's says, I don't want you bringing your guns in here, then you can't bring your gun in there.
All right,
And,
well,
yeah.
I mean, I'm going to have to go right now to the cowboy hat man himself and ask him if Target starts saying, you know, it's against our store policy to open carry in our stores, is that impeding on your Second Amendment right?
No, because like Zod said, it is up to the owner of the property or the leaseor of the property to dictate the rules. I could tell you this: Starbucks, Chipotle, all of those companies, Albertsons, every casino, my gym that I used to belong to, Lifetime Fitness, they all have a sign there: "No guns allowed," whether it's open carry or concealed. And it is up to the property owner to determine that, and it's not a violation. It's stupid to me because it just lets the criminals know that that's a gun-free zone, so they can have at it whatever they want to do. But it is not a violation of the Second Amendment rights
Okay.
because it's private property.
Right on. So, Sam, if Chili's went out there and said, you know, from now on there is no guns allowed in our establishment, is that going to make you go to Chili's less?
If they say what? I'm sorry.
If they say that there is no guns allowed, if they make like a formal statement saying that Chili's is no longer allowing people to carry guns in our establishment.
Okay, no, that wouldn't really impact my decision on whether to go or not. But I also wouldn't support the law that you couldn't bring a gun into a private company or whatever, because that's their decision. And just real quick, in regards to that open carry Texas thing, at first I told it as a joke, but the more I've sat on it, I'm starting to think it may have some legitimacy. Like those jackasses that brought their guns into Target, I think they were liberals, and they Houdini'd us, because now we're all laughing at them like, hey, look at these dumbasses bringing assault rifles into a store like it's nothing. I think they were liberals looking for more gun control. Like it might sound like a conspiracy theory, but I think that might be true.
I call that roved you rather than Houdini'd you, but yeah, same thing.
Yeah, well, however you got there.
and I don't think that, but I get your point. It's entirely possible because it does have that effect. That's my whole point of it, is that it has the opposite of the desired effect. You're not like showing everybody, hey, look at this thing, we got these rights. You're just, the people that are already nervous about it just get more nervous.
mean, that also would go. You can also equate that to like primaries when you have Democrats and Republicans that can vote in open primaries on both sides, and you'll have you have all the Democrats voting for Rick Santorum because come on, it's Rick Santorum. He's not going to really win against anybody, right? And so I mean, it's kind of got the same vibe that Sam was saying. Doing something that they want the other side to do just so they can get a law passed. I mean, I can see that. Tea Partier, you go to walk into a movie theater and you see on the door that they say that there are no guns allowed on premises. Do you feel safer or do you feel less safe?
I feel less safe technically in that theater than I would anywhere else because of the no guns law, but I do believe that it is that business's personal right to reject service to whomever they want. Any business can reject service to whomever they want for whatever reason they choose. And if the movie theater says no guns, then the guns got to stay outside. That's all I can say. I mean, I stand for the Second Amendment all the way, but I still feel like a business owner has the right to choose what goes on in his business no matter what. And you can't take him to court over something in his business.
Right on. I mean, I also said movie theater to the point where, that's normally a place that wouldn't normally have guns in the first place. There's not going to be a bunch of people that were already there carrying in the first place. That's going to be, the same jerk that brought one to do something wrong in the first place is still the guy that's going to bring one. There's not that many people that I would say even conceal in a place like that because you're going to the movie theater. How many times has something like that happened? I mean, what is it? Once? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know of anything that's happened besides that the jerk in where was that?
Colorado?
The Joker guy. Yeah. I mean, does anybody know of any other theater shootings besides that one? Going once, going twice.
I can't think of it.
So I mean, it's not like I would go there and be like, oh man, they don't allow guns here. I feel less safe. But I mean, that now goes to, well, we're gonna go with this segue concept that I've been sticking with. This was a poll from a little while ago too. You have a concealed handgun license and you are always packing. One day you must enter a gun-free zone. Nobody will notice your concealed weapon before you enter. Do you leave it or do you keep it? 40% of the people said that they're still going to enter that gun-free zone, like a place that just says no guns, whether it be a school or that movie theater that we just talked about. So 40% are still bringing guns into that place, regardless of that private business saying they can do it or not. And how do you like this for a number? Republicans beat libertarians. More Republicans are bringing the guns into this gun-free zone than libertarians. So I'm going to work backwards this time because I want to start with Tea Partier. Tea Partier, if and when you got your carried concealed and you walk in and you go and you're carrying your gun into that movie theater that you thought you could bring your gun into, and you see that it says no guns allowed, are you walking back to your car with your gun, or are you just gonna kind of hope nobody sees it?
I'm going to walk back to the car with my gun because I know, as a gun supporter, what I'm looking for when someone's concealing. Because both of my parents do it, and I just know, like, when I'm not going to go into specifics about what I'm looking for because obviously other people will start looking for those. But I know what I'm looking for. And so if somebody knows what they're looking for and they know that I'm carrying a gun, then I'm in big trouble. So I'm going to take the gun right back. Like I said, I'm not walking into any store with a gun that says they don't accept those.
All right. Sam, you just got your brand new 22. It's tucked away really well. Nobody can ever see this thing, and you're running in to pick up your little cousin at the school. Is it something that you're gonna leave that behind, or are you gonna take it with you?
I'd probably leave it in the car. I don't know. Like, it would have to be a really bad school if I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna do it anyway. Like, Like, what's gonna happen? Is some like fifth grader gonna stab me in the face or something? Like, no, I'll leave it. I'll be good.
Hey, man, I don't even want to say the conservative angle, but an extreme angle is those are the places where these things happen. Like we just said, there's more. How many times has it happened in a movie theater? We out of all of us, we came up with once. How many times has it happened in a school? I would say has happened, obviously far more times than most places. So, when you think about it, I would say, sometimes a school is a more dangerous place than, that movie theater.
Well, I'm a big poker fan. I really enjoy playing that, so I'll run the odds and I'll risk it. I'll leave it in the car and I'll go get my cousin.
Right on.
Yeah.
All right, Pete, is there any place that you can think of that said that you're not allowed to carry, where it would be a place where you would say, you know what, I'm just running in real quick, screw it. I mean, no one's going to notice it. This place, no one's going to say anything.
No, if there's a law against it, federal buildings, state buildings, local governments, schools, I will not carry. Other than that, if it's a private business or whatever, I will carry, and the only thing they can do is kick me out.
So all right, so that movie theater, for example, that movie theater that just had a sign on their door that says no guns allowed.
Right.
That's a place where you would carry anyway?
Yes.
All right.
Nobody sees it, nobody's hurt. I don't flaunt it, it doesn't bulge, you know what I mean?
Right.
I've I've gone to bingo with my weapon on my side. So,
Wow.
you know what I mean? Well, I'm just
crazy.
saying, it's not brazen. It's just nobody sees it. Nobody is hurt.
No,
But
like when I say
if-
that's crazy, I don't mean it's crazy that you do it. It's just crazy
Oh.
the thought of it. Like there's a
Oh.
gun in the bingo room. That's what I thought was crazy.
See,
No,
I'd be
well,
surprised how many people actually do that.
there's
Probably
probably
would be.
several. Like the Costco, where you remember the Costco story, the man getting shot outside of Costco? That was right down the street where I go shopping. And albeit that he was on Vicodin, he had a drug problem, and he was carrying 2 weapons, and he did go for his weapon like a stupid idiot. It states in the membership, no guns or weapons allowed in the store. It doesn't state it on the wall, but it does state when you sign up for membership. And I never even knew that until that incident, but I still go. And I've seen a lot of guys' weapons imprint on their shirt as they're bending over. They're wearing a polo shirt. You could see the handle. But I still carry there. I mean, nobody sees it. Nobody's hurt. I don't flaunt it. I don't know how else to explain it. That's just the way I feel. The worst that can happen is they can kick me out and say, don't come back. In the casinos, they trespass you, which means you can never come back to that casino. But now, if there's a city code or a state law or a federal law that states you cannot come on this property with a weapon, like, for instance, the post office is in the Albertsons. I will not go to that post office beyond their wall of entrance with my weapon. I keep it in the car if I have to go mail something, a package or whatever. But if I'm just going shopping, it's on my hip, and I'll walk right past that post office without any problem.
I guess it's the cartoon in me. As soon as you said I bring it to bingo, all I thought of was I-59, and then bam, choose again.
I guess in my mind I was trying to make a point that I'm walking around there and I'm sitting in my chair and it's on my side and it's hidden,
Right.
and nobody cares because they don't see it. I wear, loose shirts so it doesn't imprint, and I think personally I think it is a responsible thing. The guy who got shot in the Walmart here after those 2 loony bins shot the 2 police officers,
Mm-hmm.
he was a CCW carrier, and he had his weapon in the Walmart. Walmart says you're not allowed to bring in weapons. And he tried to protect people because he saw the one guy with a weapon. He didn't see the girl was with him, and she walked up behind him and shot him. And he died being a hero. Not something I would do, but that was his choice.
That'll be a good segue into the next poll, but I'll finish off the
Okay.
panel first. Saad, I'm going to go ahead and say that there's probably no place that you're going to bring a gun, probably.
I would say my answer is the same as Pete's. If it's a law, I'm not breaking it. That's the agreement when you get the permit, and there's enough training that goes with the permit. You know where you can be and where you can't be. If it's a private business, what's the consequence? It's not a law. It's just they're asking me not to do it, and maybe I do, and maybe I don't. And if I get caught and I'm never allowed back, oh well. So I mean, I would probably try to honor their wishes, but I mean, it could be inconvenient if you're stuck. For an example is when I still worked. I worked in a federal facility, no firearms in the facility, weapons of any kind, and that included the parking lot outside the gate. So not only could you not come in and park like you always do and go work, you couldn't even park in visitors parking and leave it in your car.
Mm-hmm.
You had to just show up without it. And that's kind of inconvenient for somebody that carries all the time.
Right.
If you do, but it's also inconvenient for people that are going hunting after work, which was the biggest issue here. Normally you'd get off work and go out hunting or something like that. Now you got to drive 35 minutes to get home to get your gun before you go. Sometimes it's inconvenient. I wouldn't break that rule though. I mean, that's feds will put you in Leavenworth for stuff like that,
Rob,
wherever they put you.
Rob, if I can make another point, I go to California every so often, and I don't have a permit in California, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I will. It's on my hip till I reach the state line at Prim. Where those. I don't know if you've ever been out here, but there's a couple of casinos there. So right at the state line, I pull over in the parking lot, put it in the trunk, and go to California. When I come back, I stop at Prim, put it back on my hip, come back, because it would be against the law for me to carry there.
Even where it is legal for you to carry, when you're driving, you still wear it on your hip.
Yeah.
I always figured that even people that did do that would keep it in a better spot. Like for me, example, like I don't obviously ever carry a gun in my car, but I do carry a hammer, and I have that behind the passenger seat, like that kind of a thing. And I would think that if I was gonna carry my gun with me, I mean maybe it's because it's a judge too. This is the way I'm thinking. I'm not going to be comfortable sitting with that thing on my hip like that, and I don't think it's going to be very easy to get to it. I'd probably keep it in the same place I keep my hammer.
Well, normally my shirt is over it. When I get in the car, I tuck my shirt so that it's exposed. And if I ever had to get to it, I just, I would reach, and if I had to shoot somebody trying to carjack me or something like that, I wouldn't raise my hand up and point it at them. I'd shoot from below. You know what I mean? As soon as I get it out in view, boom. I mean, that's you have to train yourself how you would do that. Now they have holsters that'll, where you can set it up in your car, but for instance, North Las Vegas and Boulder City, you're not allowed to even have a loaded weapon in your car. So
Is that all the time? Is that all the time, Pete, or unless you have a concealed carry permit?
No, all the time. Even concealed carry
I didn't know
people. That. Yeah. So for instance, now the way our instructor taught us is that he says, if you're driving around and it's exposed anywhere else around Las Vegas, you're fine. But as soon as you go into North Las Vegas or Boulder City, you carry it, you cover it. As soon as it's covered, he says you're going to be okay. They won't do anything to you. But basically, you're not allowed to carry a loaded weapon in those two cities. It's a grandfathered law that they kept on the books. If they try to make any changes to it of any kind, even dot an I or cross a T, it becomes null and void, and they have to go with the normal Nevada law of carrying.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's definitely different than here. We have the state preemption, so cities can't make up their own arbitrary rules like that. And I'm pretty sure
they had those on the books before the new Nevada law came out. Yeah.
And there could be some like that here that I don't know about. So.
All right. Well, like I said, that kind of brings us into the next one, and we'll start off with you, Chris. Veritas question a couple days ago. Does open carrying a weapon discourage would-be shooters, or does it simply make you the first target? I mean, that would like you were saying, Pete, about the guy in the Walmart. He had it even though he wasn't supposed to. He was trying to do the right thing, and not only did it make him, a target, but it got him killed, even though yes, he was being a hero.
Yep.
It did him in. So, Chris, we'll start with you. Like I said, do you think someone who is open carrying, and let's say somebody you're in a 7-Eleven and you've got, your rifle around your back, and somebody comes in to rob the place and they look over and they see you with a rifle, do you think that's going to make someone discouraged to what they're about to do, or do you think it's going to make them a target?
Well, personally, I don't think that if someone was to walk into a store and they have the intent to go in and shoot people, they're not going to be discouraged by it. So I do believe that they would be the first target, because you see someone who's there who's a potential threat to you. You want to minimize that threat, and so you go for them first. So I think that that does actually make you more of a target, because someone who's not, something has to be sort of firing wrong in your head to make you want to do that, to make you want to go out, make the mental choice to go out and shoot someone, either if you're impaired by something or you have, I don't know, something going wrong. And you're going to see that there, you're going to perceive that as a threat, and you're going to stop it. You're going to want to be thinking that you have, like, the thought to be doing as much harm as you can. You're going to want to stop whatever's going to stop that. So I think that that does make you the first target.
Right on. Zod, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, I think probably, I mean, if somebody goes in there with the intent of doing something, they've already got guns out and everything. It would make sense if they saw somebody with a gun, they'd see that as a threat, and they'd either turn around and run away, or they'd take out that person. And I don't know, which it would be. It probably depends on if they're just going to rob the store, or if they, kill with the intent of hurting people.
I think
So it might depend on what they're up to, I guess. But I don't think it necessarily would discourage anybody, because, like Chris said, I think there's something not right with them in the first place.
I think if you're going in to, say, rob the store, you would stake it out a little bit. You'd be walking around before you go in, and I think that that would discourage in the case of robbing someone. But I think I agree with you on that bit. If you're going to just rob the store, then that might discourage. But if you're going in to just inflict harm, then definitely it wouldn't discourage you.
An example would be police. We had a situation here a few years ago where four policemen got killed in a coffee shop. They just had the one in Las Vegas with the two. They're carrying firearms where you can see them, and it doesn't seem to discourage anybody from taking them on, just because they're crazy to start with. And so I don't know that I don't think that it would attract the same attention as a guy in uniform, but for a crazy person. But I do think that it probably would not discourage a crazy person.
So now, obviously, we can see from the party breakdown that this is a very partisan. You usually don't necessarily see the party filters this wackadoo, pardon the term, when you have a 50-50 poll. I mean, this is a 435 vote poll with a 50-50 result. And you've got, 11% Democrats, 81% Republicans, 35% Independents, and 82 Libertarians. Pete, I know you are conservative. I don't know if you're Republican, but if you are, I mean, are you someone that says discourage, or do you think it does make him the target, like the guy in Walmart?
I think you're the first one to get shot.
All right.
If you're in the store already and you have a weapon on your side, or you're carrying a rifle or whatever, and bad guys come in the door with intent to rob or hurt, guess what? You're the first one to go down. I think you are a target. That's why I told you before I will not open carry.
Right.
Yeah. I hope I never have to use my weapon, and that is, my intent is purely to protect what might happen. I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
I feel the same way, to be honest, especially because, the weapons I do have, it's not like I have a couple of 22s. The 45 long Colts are going to do some damage. I've seen what they can do to inanimate objects and to watermelons, if you will. Not only would I feel bad about having to use it on another person, I don't even want to see what that would do to a person. You know what I mean? I don't even want to see what I've seen happen to inanimate objects on another person. But we'll finish this up with going down the line here. Jive, what do you think? Is this going to discourage people, or are they going to be a target?
I don't get the 50% that thinks it's going to discourage. I think that's like so utopian. Of
Right.
course, it makes you the target. That if I'm going to a store with a gun and I'm trying to shoot people and I see somebody else with a gun, that's the first person I'm taking out. Of course. Like, I don't understand how you could see it as discouraging. Like, if I'm a crazy person going to shoot people, I'm not thinking rationally. That's not going to discourage me.
Right. Exactly. Hey, side note, can you see the questions in the show of hands poll? Are you able to look at that? So, somebody start going through that and trying to see if there's any good questions that we could acknowledge before it goes off. I don't like multitasking while I'm doing this because I already have enough on my screen right now as it is.
Susan did make a good point that there was one other theater shooting recently that a retired law officer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right.
Because someone was texting or something like that. But I think he was a little bit like senile or something. He was an older gentleman, and not odd, not that all older gentlemen are senile, but
Yeah, I think you're older than me. That's fine.
I know. I like how he puts you in that category.
But it was such a simple,
outside.
and from what I understand with the story, there wasn't even an argument or a fight or anything. He just got mad and shot the guy for texting. I mean, you have to be, like Christopher said, if you're going to go, and I was going to make this point tonight, if you're going to go out and intentionally kill someone or multiple people, you are crazy. I don't care what you say.
Right.
And you can't legislate against craziness. All the gun control in the world will not be able to stop these people from getting. The guy that just shot the two police officers with his wife, he had a criminal record. He shouldn't have had weapons. Guess what? He had weapons.
Right. But you could legislate that places need to have more metal detectors, so that way that people will at least know when they walk in if they've got something on them.
Well, that would be the next step. Yeah, exactly. Turn people away because they set off the metal detector. Another thing here, Which End Is Up said he found it interesting that it's okay to violate the right of a private business to determine what they will or won't allow on their property, meaning my statement about, if it's a private business, I'm going in carrying, concealed.
Right.
I think private businesses are wrong in dictating that, and that's how I deal with it. That's a personal choice, okay? And not everybody feels that way. Tea Partier said he would leave it at the car. That's his choice. I personally just won't do that. Like I said, I won't break a law.
I mean, I don't agree with their choice to not allow
Right.
people to carry guns. I'm just saying I'm not going to try to make an issue out of it
Sure.
and walk in there with a gun anyways. I'm going to go
And I
ahead and
respect
just
you for
avoid
that.
all conflict.
I respect anybody for making that decision, and I'm making my decision, and people I feel should respect me for that. And if I get caught and kicked out, well, so be it. I'll never be able to go there again. So be
Exactly.
it.
So now, I mean, let's say that place has a metal detector that you're going to set off.
Of course, I wouldn't do that then. I wouldn't. If I want to really go into that business, if it's so important to me, I'd of course leave the gun in the car or at home.
All right. Well, let's just finish this one off with Tea Party. Or were you in the discourage or are you in the target category?
Oh, well, I think we don't realize how much it does discourage people because those don't make headlines. As far as being a target, I wouldn't have no problem with being a target because as many bullets as I take is fewer bullets that are going to end up in somebody else. And if I can still function after taking a shot and I can still get that gun, I've got it on me and I can fight back.
Well, just to clarify a statement real quick, the guy that got shot in the Walmart was carrying, and it
Yes.
didn't discourage, and
He got shot in the head.
and it did make headlines. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm just
Yes.
saying, like,
No,
technically,
I said we don't know how much it does discourage because once it's discouraged, you don't get the headline because nothing happened.
Actually, they did have I don't know if it's the police, the sheriff, whatever, but somebody from Vegas somebody official was talking about that, saying that it did help, that he's a hero because he did slow the thing down and probably kept somebody else from. He died, but he kept somebody else from getting killed.
Because he took a bullet that could have ended up in someone else.
Well, yeah, and he kind of precipitated the crazy chick shoots him and then shoots her husband and then shoots herself, kind of thing. But and if she hadn't been armed, if she had just been along as Bonnie and Half-a-Clyde or whatever that is, that would have been it could have stopped there without him getting killed. So I don't. The point to me though is I think he probably did some good there, even though he wound up getting killed. And to me that's the headline. Not that there were a couple of crazy people running around. That's what I would take with that. Is some crazy people went crazy, and a guy that happened to have a firearm with him made it better than it would have been otherwise.
Right.
I do get pretty surprised, though, to be honest, at how many times these people that do these shootings take their own life. And to the point where, I don't mean to be the conspiracy guy, and, I'm sure there's plenty of people that would agree with me as well as disagree with me, but I'm just surprised that as many of them take their life and they don't just go for the suicide by cop. Like this guy that was part of the Bundy thing, or he got kicked out of the Bundy Ranch or whatever the hell it was. The guy, the Half-a-Clyde you just said. There was talk that he was looking for a suicide by cop, and then they take their own lives. Like, that just seems weird. I wonder, it's one of those things where I look at something and I go, mathematically speaking, how many times do we hear that they took their own lives and it was actually not, and they just want to say that because they don't want to, the cops don't want to be the ones that actually killed these people. They would rather just say they took their own lives.
If they really wanted to do suicide by cop, though, wouldn't they have gone into the pizza place and shot one of the cops and let the other one shoot them? I mean, that doesn't, to me, that doesn't ring true to me. That would be like, hey, we're saving the last 2 bullets for ourselves and we're shooting everybody else we can along the way.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, I guess I'm trying to rationalize crazy, but,
Yeah, and you can't.
You can't.
I know. I'm just trying to figure out that why someone is going to go and try to do that kind of damage to some place is going to end up just going, screw it, done, and just kill themselves. Like,
Yeah, because they don't want to deal with the repercussions. They just say, fuck it. I did what I wanted to, and now I'm done.
You do know that she shot him a couple of times and then shot herself, right?
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. I guess they were in a shootout with the police through the back door or something like that, and or in the back warehouse, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I think I heard that he got shot a couple times, so she shot him twice and then put a bullet to her head, and she was still alive. They took her to UMC, the hospital here, and then she died on the table.
Crazy people, man.
That's what I'm saying. And you can't legislate against crazy, because who's going to take the responsibility? Who's going to determine who's crazy and who's not? Who deserves a weapon and who doesn't? All the gun control in the world can't legislate that. You can't. There's no way, unless someone has the guts to, when they see somebody who's committable, that they take the step to report it to the right authorities to make sure that they're on the list for the background search. You know what I mean? And a lot of states actually have laws like that. There are many states with laws that say if you've been ever self-committed or committed by anyone to a mental hospital, or if you're under some sort of mental medication, you can't get a weapon and so on. But whether they report it to the right agency where the background check is done, who knows? I mean, there's still probably some fault in the whole system that's allowing these people that are going to shoot up schools and stuff like that.
Well, then that's an example. It's here, the law, at least what they're reporting, I didn't look it up, but one of the things that does show up in a background check is an involuntary committal, if you've been involuntarily committed for 14 days or longer. Yeah. And the guy that was just shooting up one of the schools here in town within the last week with a shotgun was all kinds of crazy, apparently, and under treatment, and he'd stopped taking his medication and all that kind of stuff, but apparently had not been involuntarily committed, or at least not for long enough. And to me, if some guy writes you a script for some kind of antipsychotic medicine, the very next thing along with that, the carbon copy of that ought to go right to someplace that says, guess what? We're coming to get your guns. You're done. At least until somebody else writes you a thing that says you're okay again. Because who else is going to take care of it?
Hmm.
That to me is the thing we could do better. Much
What's
better.
amazing also, and somebody I believe posted something and had mentioned this, and a person who can be falsely accused of violence towards a spouse or whatever and gets a restraining order put against him, even though it's false, immediately cannot get a weapon because they report that
Right.
directly to the background check.
And
But
to
a
me, that ought
kid,
to be the same thing with the psychologist or anybody else involved in treatment.
exactly,
Regular doctor, even. You get Zoloft or whatever it is, that goes right
nobody
to
has the courage to do that, though, and that's why we have these kooks out there doing what they're doing.
Well, at the same time, though, you were just saying you can't legislate crazy, and I mean, it sounds like we just actually kind of came up with a decent idea. We just need to figure out how to get it back.
Except the counterpoint to the argument is, as soon as you have that, you have a percentage of people that are going to avoid treatment. Same as pilots will have all kinds of problems, but they won't go to a doctor, or they won't tell the doctor because they'll lose their, the pilot's license, or they'll lose their medical and can't fly for a time. So it'd be the same thing. I like my gun. I'm not going to tell somebody I'm crazy. I'm just going to act crazy until they catch me. I mean, I don't see that there's an easy answer to that. I'm just saying some of that, it does seem a little bit easier. It shouldn't need to be all the way to the extreme of getting involuntarily committed for 2 weeks. It could be less than that. Like been treated within the last year kind of thing.
All right. All right. Well, is there anything else in that poll?
Yeah. Username here mentioned 3D printer guns. I want to hear what some opinions are on that.
Well, I mean, I guess it really all depends, in my opinion, on, I almost think that, you should have to have a license to be able to print a gun. Because if you're going to be able to print one, who's to say you can't print 10? And then what are you doing with them? And are you distributing them? If you want to go and you want to make your own collection of 1,000 3D printed guns and you want to do it legally, and that's fine with me. But if you're, someone that's going to be doing this in their basement and passing them out, and the next thing you know, we've got a bunch of people that aren't supposed to be having guns with all these one-time use guns. Because even if they are just one-time use and then they, something happens and whatever, that one-time use for someone that's trying to build a militia, I just think that there should be some sort of, license or something that you have, just like you would need to sell guns. I think if you're going to
register them.
Yeah, exactly. Some sort of registration or license needed to make guns, because, like I said, it's not just you getting the one. Now you're able to distribute, and I think that is something that some people won't want to trust the government, but I think that's something that somebody at least should be keeping tabs on. If someone has the ability to mass produce a weapon and just distribute it as they see fit.
But you already have that once you start distributing it. But if you make a gun right now on your home lathe, you don't have to have a license for that until you go out to try to sell it to somebody. And I don't see the printer. To me, the printer is just another way. It's another machine for manufacturing a device.
Yeah.
So I don't see that it's any different than what we already have. It's just somebody without any skill can push a button and say print. But other than the skill to manufacture it, it's no different. Anybody with a lathe can make a gun. They're not that complicated, and the plans are readily available.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
What is your feeling on that, Tea Party? You're the one that brought it up.
Well, actually, I really like what you guys were saying about obviously needing special permits. Obviously, I think there's probably some way. I am not tech savvy at all. I'm surprised I can use show of hands. But it's like you do it so you can only print off one, and you've got to pay for your forms, whatever you're using to do it. And it's not going to be cheap. But honestly, I don't think it's a bad idea. Obviously, keeping it out of the hands of terrorists, crazy people would be ideal, but again, there's a risk there. But I don't think it should be discouraged at all.
I just want to say real quick, and I went against my own better judgment. And like I said, I usually don't go into the show of hands poll until after the show is over, because I try not to get distracted or whatever, especially on times that I'm doing this without Tony. And this is why. RJ, discuss suspected show of hands users that are probably aliens, followed up by which star system they're from. Pass. Let's change the subject, Chicken Cookie wants to say. Rob seems to be fond of cats. Yeah, pass. Tilton thinks I take some sort of medication that controls my urges to kick puppies. Nope, it's cats.
RJ had two good ones.
No.
One discussed the one true religion, and the other one was who would win a war, Nevada or Arizona.
Arizona, sorry, compete. It's Arizona.
Well, what was that one again? What was that one again? I didn't see that one yet.
Who would win a war,
way up at
Nevada
the
or
top.
Arizona?
It's at the top of the list.
It's the top one right now.
I was going by most liked because I figured that'd be the good way to find things. Little did I know I was absolutely wrong.
No, then you find a lot of Rob doesn't like kittens.
God, no, it's not
by the
kittens.
way,
Kittens are fine. Go ahead.
Pete, don't worry, I live near Las Vegas. It's an awesome town. Been there many, many times. Have nothing against the state, but I still think that you guys just don't have the manpower to take Arizona to war.
That's true, and we're probably majority of Democrats here too. That's another reason.
Exactly.
And see, that's humor. A lot of people, when I put that on show of hands as a comment, they don't get it. A couple people always attack me for comments like that, but it's called humor.
Yeah, it's hard to read in humor though.
I
get
know.
yelled at a lot.
I do it intentionally.
The reason my name is Sandstorm down here is so people don't know who I am because I'm Tea Partier, and there's probably about 3 people out there that want to kill me for it. So
Yeah.
Real quick on the 3D guns thing, I saw a documentary about them a while back, and it's not like what were we talking specifically about them? It's like they need to be regulated or something.
Right.
We were suggesting that they should be permitted or registered or something like that if you're going to make them to sell them.
Well, the technology's not fully there yet. Like it's getting more elaborate, but you need like a blueprint. You need materials, and I saw some guy like shooting with them, and like they break sometimes. Like they're not really like. Don't get me wrong, they're a legitimate like deadly weapon, but it's nothing like serious. Like you can't create an army out of a 3D printer.
I think that would be a great anti-terrorism thing, is to send them printed plastic guns and some high-pressure ammunition to go with them, and just let them take care of themselves.
That's why I refer to them as a one-time use kind of a thing. I kind of look at it like a one-time use camera, you know what I mean? Like it's going to be good for your one shot and whatever, maybe not one shot, one magazine or whatever. But at the same time, like fine, maybe they're going to jam and break halfway through or whatever. But if you can print, if you can print 10 of them and you load 10 of them up, and you go and you want to start doing some damage, you just start shooting one until it breaks and throw it down, grab the next one, throw it down, grab the next one, throw it down. I mean, they don't need to be that great for you, to have some shit go down. You just
a lot of shootings are stopped when they're reloading. I mean, don't get me wrong, like your point's right. Like,
but that's my point.
Saying,
there isn't a reload. That's my point, though. Is there's no reloading.
But there's still like
there's still an action to
time
get
gap.
a weapon. Like I'm assuming you're going to be susceptible while you're going to get your how are you going to hold 10 guns on your back or something?
Exactly.
Bandoliers.
You're going to be susceptible eventually.
Be ambidextrous. I think you could keep that going like a machine gun. You'd unload them one after another till you ran out.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think we should regulate them. I'm just saying the technology's not fully there yet.
Yeah, I agree. But I disagree that we should regulate them. I agree that the technology's not there.
All right, well, on that note of me punting puppies and the one true religion and the war against Arizona and Nevada, I'm going to go ahead and call this a night. I want to thank everybody for showing up. I can't believe Google actually allowed everyone, including the first-timers, to be there, and everybody was on time, and, well, everybody except for Tony. And
sure, poke at Tony. He hasn't taken enough grief on Google Plus already in the last week.
Hey, someone's got to. So hopefully he'll be back next week with some app news. I don't know anything new about beta. I don't know anything new that's coming. And that's about it. Again, thanks everybody for coming, and we'll see
Good.
you on the app.
Good show.
See ya.
You too. Thanks, guys.